If you've ever wanted a detective anime that hits you with mystery, action, melancholy, and just a dash of chaotic teenage energy, The Detective Is Already Dead is absolutely that show. Season 1 wastes no time throwing its hero, Kimihiko Kimizuka, into the deep end. Hijacked planes, secret organizations, sapphire eyeballs, and a girl so legendary that even her death can't stop her from stealing every scene. This is a show that plays with timelines, tugs at your heartstrings, and keeps you guessing who's really pulling the strings. We open in the most dramatic place possible, a commercial airplane cruising at 10,000 meters that has just been hijacked. A teenage boy named Kimihiko Kimizuka, a guy who has the extraordinary and deeply inconvenient talent of always stumbling into trouble, is pulled into service by a mysterious silver-haired girl who introduces herself simply as Siesta, a self-proclaimed detective. She conscripts Kimizuka as her assistant on the spot, because apparently that's how hiring works at 10,000 feet. Together, they make their way to the cockpit where a dangerous man codenamed Bat is holding the captain hostage. Bat doesn't just want compliance. He issues a chilling intellectual challenge, demanding that Siesta deduce the true reason the plane was hijacked as the condition for releasing the hostages. It's a jaw-dropping cold open that immediately establishes the show's core dynamic. Siesta is extraordinary, Kimizuka is the reluctant but capable sidekick, and their world is far more dangerous than it looks. The story then jolts forward in time, 1 full year, and Siesta is dead. Just like that. The show drops this bombshell as casually as a weather report, and we see a noticeably quieter Kimizuka trying to resume normal life as a high school student, carrying the weight of those 3 years spent by Siesta's side. The routine is broken when his cheerful classmate Nagisa Natsunagi approaches him with an unusual request. She wants him to help her track down a mysterious unknown person she refers to only as X. Kimizuka, pulling on his old instincts, reaches out to police officer Fubikase for assistance. Kase takes the two of them to a maximum security prison where Kimizuka is reunited with none other than Bat, the same hijacker from the plane incident years ago. This reunion, electric with unresolved history and mutual wariness, signals that Kimizuka's past as Siesta's assistant is far from buried. Just as Kimizuka and Natsunagi are adjusting to their odd little investigative partnership, the universe throws another wild card their way. Yui Saikawa, a bubbly and beloved middle school idol, practically crashes into their lives. Saikawa has received a threatening letter with a very specific demand. A sapphire valued at 3 billion yen is to be handed over on the day of her upcoming Dome concert. Rather than going to the authorities, she seeks out Kimizuka, framing her request as a wish Siesta would have wanted him to inherit. He and Natsunagi accept the case. The episode builds a nice layer of tension when, during rehearsal the day before the big concert, a mysterious man approaches Saikawa on stage, making it immediately clear that the threat is real, present, and already far closer than anyone expected. This episode peels back the surface of Saikawa's case and reveals something far more sinister underneath. It turns out Saikawa has been less than fully honest about the nature of the threat. The criminal isn't after the 3 billion yen sapphire stored in her private home at all. The real target is Saikawa's left eye, which is fixed with an actual sapphire. Kimizuka, sharp as ever, cracks this detail and immediately rushes to the Dome concert with Natsunagi in tow. The concert venue is packed with thousands of fans, and somewhere in that crowd is a criminal determined to take Saikawa's eye. The pair scour the crowded seats in a race against the clock, the pressure mounting with every passing minute as the concert draws closer. It's a tense, high-stakes episode that proves this show's mysteries have very real and very physical consequences. The timeline shifts again. pulling us back to a year before Siesta's death, when she and Kimihiko were still working cases together. A disturbing series of incidents emerges. People are having their hearts surgically severed in what appears to be an orchestrated pattern. Siesta and Kimihiko deduce that the culprit is Cerberus, an operative belonging to the shadowy secret organization known as SPES. They set an ambush, with Kimihiko as the bait, naturally, and he ventures into a pitch-dark room to lure the attacker. But the figure who steps out of the darkness isn't Cerberus. It's Hel, a striking and unsettling girl who reveals a personal, almost obsessive focus on Siesta. This flashback episode is essential. It begins to pull back the curtain on SPES and introduces one of the season's most compelling antagonists. Picking up directly from the confrontation with Hel, this episode delivers on the action as Siesta and Kimihiko manage to overcome SPES's leader in combat, though victory comes at a cost. Siesta sustains a leg injury serious enough to sideline her for 2 weeks, forcing Kimihiko to step up and carry cases on his own. While filling in, he stumbles upon Alicia, a young woman he discovers sleeping in a cardboard box in a back alley. She's elegant, mysterious, and clearly out of place, and to make matters more complicated, she has no memory of who she is. Kimihiko recruits her as a makeshift partner while Siesta recovers, and the episode uses the odd couple dynamic between Kimihiko and the amnesiac Alicia to hint at deeper secrets about her origin and her possible connection to the broader SPES conspiracy. This is a quieter, more emotionally textured episode that does a lot of heavy lifting for the season's heart. Kimihiko and Alicia continue working cases together as Siesta's temporary replacements. There's a particularly memorable scene at a food stall, where the group gathers to celebrate Siesta's full recovery. A rare moment of lightness in a story that is generally running for its life. Siesta offers Kimihiko a drink in place of the apple pie she'd once given him, a small but quietly significant gesture between the two of them. Then, in the episode's most loaded moment, Siesta returns to her room, sits on the edge of the bed, and calls Kimihiko's name, a single action carrying enormous emotional weight that hints at feelings left perpetually unspoken between them. Trust gets complicated in this episode when Kimihiko and Siesta realize that the Fubikase they encountered the previous day was not the real Kase. They've been interacting with an imposter. The revelation arrives too late. While they're still processing the deception, the case's 5th victim dies. The episode also drives a painful wedge between Siesta and Kimihiko. As their priorities diverge, Siesta is focused on stopping Hel at any cost, while Kimihiko is deeply invested in honoring the grief of the victims' families. 3 days later, the stakes become personal when Alicia is dragged into the unfolding incident. Alicia does her best to reassure Kimihiko, but he can't shake a growing, gut-wrenching sense that something about the reality of their situation is fundamentally wrong. A feeling he can't yet name, but absolutely cannot ignore. Everything converges in this pivotal episode as Siesta, Kimihiko, and Anderson mount an assault on SPES headquarters with one goal: getting Alicia back. Once inside, the group splits up, and Kimihiko finds himself face-to-face with a seed of SPEs, one of the organization's engineered operatives, leading to a confrontation that finally peels away the mystery surrounding what SPES actually is and what it's truly after. On the other side of headquarters, Siesta reunites with Hel in a charged and emotionally complex encounter, pressing to recover Alicia through a mix of force and raw will. It's an episode dense with answers, and for the first time, the full shape of the threat the trio has been facing snaps into focus. Fast-forwarding back to the present timeline, Kimihiko and Natsunagi find themselves living a very different kind of adventure when Saikawa invites them aboard her luxury yacht, a hilariously extravagant trip to the sea that technically fulfills a promise they made, just at an entirely unreasonable scale. The comedic contrast between Saikawa's over-the-top wealth and Kimihiko's resigned deadpan is a welcome breath of fresh air, But the episode quickly shifts gears when Anderson, a figure from Kimizuka's past, appears on board. The group is tasked with investigating something referred to as the legacy of Siesta, a mystery supposedly sleeping somewhere on the passenger ship. By evening, ominous announcements begin echoing through the cruise vessel, and it becomes clear that this luxurious outing is about to become another life-or-death situation. The threat on the cruise ship takes a concrete and terrifying form. A SPES operative called Chameleon, a shapeshifter who is as tactically dangerous as they are difficult to pin down. Kimizuka throws himself into the fight, and though Saikawa plays a critical role in pulling Natsunagi out of immediate danger, the battle escalates rapidly and bloodily. Kimizuka and Anderson team up to try to corner Chameleon, but the operative's abilities are overwhelming. A devastating attack cleaves the ship's deck in two and sends Kimizuka crashing to the lower level. Lying dazed on the ground, his consciousness flickering, memories of the day Siesta died begin to surface for the first time. Fragmented, painful, and carrying the weight of everything he's been carrying in silence since that day. Just as Chameleon's killing blow is about to land on the fallen Kimizuka, a single shot fired from above tears through Chameleon, and the source stops everyone cold. Siesta, inhabiting Natsunagi's body, descends with a weapon in hand, very much present and very much in control. Her return, even in this form, is the emotional and narrative peak of the entire season. As the battle against Chameleon continues, the episode interweaves the present fight with extended flashbacks to the very beginning. Kimizuka and Siesta meeting for the first time 10,000 meters in the sky 4 years ago. The two timelines echo and rhyme beautifully, with past and present Siesta and Kimizuka fighting side by side in memory and in body simultaneously. It's a finale that is both a resolution and a reopening of wounds, cementing that whatever Siesta and Kimizuka were to each other, it was something that transcended even death.